Good afternoon and morning, everyone. My name is Sue Kim with Arctic IT, and I'd like to welcome you today to our webinar, Accelerate Your Mission-Focused Initiatives with Cloud Business Applications. In partnership with government technology companies, including Arctic IT, Microsoft developed the Dynamics 365 Government Accelerator, designed to expedite the development of government business processes and applications. Our speakers today have a lot of helpful information designed to help state and local governments understand how to leverage the Government Accelerator. First, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Bryan Schmidt. Bryan is Arctic IT's Principal Solution Architect and specializes in the Power Platform and has been working on solutions for tribal, commercial, and government sectors for the past 10 years. Joining Bryan today is James Gavin from Microsoft. James and his team develop industry solutions which are packaged and open source on GitHub under the Microsoft Industry Accelerators. At Microsoft, James has worked in the Microsoft Cloud and AI division on range of cloud services within Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Azure. With that, I will turn the presentation over to Bryan.
Thank you, Sue Kim. I appreciate that introduction and welcome everyone. Glad you could take the time to attend this webinar today and hope that you gain some value in listening to how we're actually deploying solutions and using the Microsoft technology stack to help multiple different government agencies utilize the capabilities that we work with every day. So first, the agenda today, I want to focus on the partnership that Arctic IT has, both with Microsoft and in the state and local government area. That's what we mean by SLG. We want to talk a little bit about government modernization success stories. We'll briefly review a couple scenarios of clients that we have worked with to help them achieve some improvements in what they're trying to accomplish. We'll talk a little bit more about the power of the Microsoft Cloud Platform and the specific components that are included in that platform and how you can use them to support your modernization initiatives. And then we'll have James introduce this Dynamics 365 Government Accelerator that has recently been available and now can be used for many different purposes. And he'll go through and provide a quick review of that before going into a solution demo, give you a brief introduction of what that solution accelerator includes. And then next steps regarding how we can get started working together to help your state and local government agency. And then we'll leave some time at the end for a Q&A. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Arctic IT and how our partnership can work for you in your state and local government. Arctic IT has been in business for coming up on 20 years, focusing on business applications and modernized workspace. We create strategic partnerships with each of our clients, whether they be tribal organizations, state and local government, city, county, federal, to help them bring Microsoft technologies, improve the best practices with a compliance mind to make sure that we're helping you meet your compliance requirements that you have for your agency, and if not, making you aware of some of the compliance options that are available to you within the Microsoft suite of products. With every client and every engagement, we do take a security first approach in the way that we work with not only your modernization efforts, but to try and make sure that the data and services that you're providing are keeping all your data secured and managed in a way that meet your data governance policies that you have within your organization. So it's a really important aspect of how we approach every engagement with our clients, but we approach that again as a partnership. We've also got a deep experience in working with the Government Community Cloud, or the GCC. That is what Microsoft calls the Azure tenants, where services are hosted to meet the state and local government requirements for hosting within the continental United States, as well as in secure facilities to make sure that we're meeting specific compliance requirements that are unique to state and local government agencies. But we also provide a proven implementation methodology to not only deploy new services and help your organization modernize and transition from the legacy applications that you worked with in the past to bring that new technology, help train your folks and deploy these services in a way that they can be easily understood and improve the adoption of those new services within your organization. And we very commonly have to take the solutions that Microsoft or we have built and take those and tailor them for our clients. It's, quite frequently, client business requirements are unique, and that's one of the challenges that they face. And that's where, some of our most of our consultants are experienced and certified in the Microsoft technologies, and listen to our clients to make sure that we're tailoring those solutions specific to your business processes and make sure that it's supporting the unique requirements that you have. We do apply this comprehensive lifecycle services within the GCC. We've got a lot of experience working with GCC clients, both at the federal level, state level, and county level, and understand the requirements for gaining the authority to operate in certain scenarios, and working through the challenges and the differences between the commercial cloud and the government cloud, and helping clients understand what features may be available and which ones aren't in those GCC tenants. But that's done because of the security requirements and the feature availability. So it's important to understand and make sure that clients are getting the most secure environment that they can, while making sure that the features that they need to do their work are available. And because Arctic IT is an Alaska Native corporation, we are owned by Doyon Limited. We are an SBA 8A organization, which means a small business, and we are considered a disadvantaged business entity. So that allows us to work with government agencies through the procurement process and some contracting to help streamline the way that you engage with Arctic IT to provide those services for your organization. So it's a really important aspect to help make your organization get new services, achieve your modernization goals, and reduce the overhead involved in working with a contracted partner to do that. And just to point out that Arctic IT is a Microsoft Gold partner. So our industry experience, like I said before, we have worked with state and local government in many capacities, but we've also delivered on a number of federal projects. So, for example, we just completed a big project with the National Park Service, deploying a Microsoft Commerce solution for all the national parks across the United States. We've worked with many different federal organizations, and we've also had a deep experience in working with tribal organizations, both either the government as well as the casino operations, both from a finance standpoint, as well as their modernization of their business applications and deploying solutions that we provide. But the commercial, and we've also worked with many commercial clients, either in they're replacing their managed applications or business applications, or providing managed services for those organizations as well. So we work across that gamut, but most of our focus is around the state and local government, and federal government is kind of that center of where our services are provided. So what I want to do now is go in and talk a little bit more about a couple case studies. Well, before I do that, we just want to talk through that we understand, because of our experience in working with state and local governments, we understand the challenges you face every single day. Working with multiple applications, in many cases, they're legacy, working with older technologies, they don't integrate very well, they don't share data, and in some cases, departments don't collaborate very well. They aren't using maybe Office 365 or Teams, or they might create their own database for their services that they provide to their constituents, and that's served as a line of business for their department, but they typically don't share that information outside or collaborate with another department. And that could serve as a point of frustration for the citizens and members that you serve, because if you have to update your information for one of those departments, and by going to another department to request services, What you're seeing is you're having to reapply or re-update the same information multiple times, and that can be a frustration point. So that's one of the aspects where bringing some of the new technologies can actually make a big difference in the way that you work together. In scenarios that we've seen where we'll have somebody come into the Family and Child Services Department, and they will request services, and they're being told that they are missing some key piece of documentation, even though they've requested services over, let's say, in the housing department or something like that, and they provided an address or a proof of residency. And because those two departments aren't just working from the same database, what will happen is that member is sent home to go retrieve that documentation, or because they didn't bring it with the Family and Child Services team. So it can be a scenario where having a shared combination of centralized services and database provides that ability for departments to work together. And bringing digital experience expectations is something really becoming more and more important. Teams are working more remote, both in the field as well as working from browsers and mobile phones. So you're changing the way that your members also engage with you, whether it be virtual chat, could be through email, it could be SMS text messaging. The digital capabilities in the platform provide a great mechanism for you to engage with your members and bring the latest technologies from automated chatbots to virtual, chatting with a live person or making that phone call. That omni-channel communication is becoming way more important for your team to be able to engage with citizens or people that are requesting services of your department. And workflow and process automation is becoming a really important element, because what we're doing is we're seeing as those emails arrive and you want to take action with them, they can be routed, and that's where the business process automation and the workflows that are built into the platforms can help automate that or automate the flows of those emails or requests for services to the department, making sure that it's added to the queue so it's first in, first out, and keeping the team focused on what is the most important thing or the oldest request first, so that and those workflows help the team because you're dealing with fewer people and more demand on your services. So relying on these automation techniques provides a really great way for you to do more with less. And that's an important aspect of how we're bringing that automation to bear. And in addition, the hybrid, their teams are working remote, and constituents are expecting portal interface to your services that you provide. So we're seeing more demand for online services and allowing your members to connect from anywhere on any device is an important aspect for many departments to be able to stay engaged with their members and citizens. So let's talk about a couple scenarios, customer scenarios. So one of our customers that we deployed is called the City of Seattle and the Seattle Public Utility. And what their modernization effort is a watershed protection, where they had field staff that were out there working in a mountainous area in Western Washington state, where they were doing permit inspections. They were doing inspections of construction equipment, all sorts of different activities out in the watershed to protect that water source and make sure that everyone was permitted to be where they actually are, and making sure that all their information was current. The problem that they had was they had very manual, paper-based processes where they would write up tickets or have to bring permit lists with them so that they made sure that they had current information that might be a week old. And it created a lot of duplicate data entry. So it was a source of frustration for the team by not having mobile technology, working with their manual processes. It really put a strain on their team, and there was a lot of data errors involved in those processes. And it caused more issues in that the team or the field staff wasn't working with current information when they were going out into the field to do inspections or inspect permits. That was a real issue, and they said we need some help to be able to have either live information or at least as current as this morning to have that information at their fingertips when they're out in the field. So let's talk a little bit about how we applied the Microsoft services to solve this problem for them. What we did is we started with a field service solution. We used the field service mobile application that provided the capability for this online, offline scenario to be able to synchronize information as of this morning or the last time they were connected to the a network connection, bring that onto their mobile device so that when they went into the field and they were actually in disconnected mode, at least they had the most current information. And then as they applied updates and added new records and updates to those to their inspection records or violation records for people that weren't permitted to work in that area, when they came back into a cell phone coverage or Wi-Fi area, those records would automatically sync over to the servers, which was a huge benefit to them to be able to automatically collect the information, take photos, answer questions around violations in the field in real time, and then bring that data without having to do duplicate data entry. So it was a huge improvement to the way that they did their work. And what it did is it improved their interactions with the contractors that were doing work, improved their relations with the people that were requesting permits to do camping or hiking in the specific area, so they understood the rules, but it also gave them the latest information at their fingertips to streamline their processes and notifications for multiple departments and alert business when violations were happening. So it was a really important solution for them, and they have seen some really marked improvement in data quality and engagement with their constituents. So now the next one I want to talk about is it's a nonprofit. It's an Army Emergency Relief Organization. And one of the things that they had is they had a disconnected system for managing loans and financial assistance that they provide for current service members as well as retired or veterans. So they are a nonprofit which are responsible for providing assistance and financial help for service members that are in need, either they're being deployed or for their family members back home. And they just they were working from a disconnected system, and they're a truly global organization. So there were many time zone issues, there were data connectivity issues, phone calls in the middle of the night. There were lots of different limitations, and it slowed down the process of being able to deliver those emergency services for those service members in the greatest time of their need. So it posed issues, slowed down the process, and they came to us to ask, hey, how can we improve our cybersecurity, our overall data security, improve our service delivery for our service members they're so important for their mission. So to that end, let's talk a little bit about the outcomes. What we brought to bear was a suite of applications from Office 365, Dynamics 365 Customer Service, Dynamics 365 Finance, with some customizations on the Power Platform, all deployed within the Government Community Cloud. One of the key elements is that delivering a portal on the Power Platform for those service members that are serving abroad or in Korea or in Germany or wherever they are. They can log into that portal, submit their requests, manage their payments, submit the interactions because one of the things that we did is we integrated to the DoD finance system that allows those service members to take payroll deductions from their military pay and pay off loans, or they call them groans, grants or loans. So they have the ability to manage their funds and how they work with the Army Emergency Relief and being able to either submit those applications, inform the staff, the AER staff, when a situation arises and they have to stop making payments. The team can then review that, collaborate with the commanders and the different people in their reporting organization and respond to those requests. So we use the technology from office and all the way up and down to manage and help those service members or the AER staff manage those loans more effectively, deliver them faster, using the latest technologies with including the portal, mobile devices, office, and the finance system as well, to be able to deliver funds as quickly as possible in those critical points and serve their needs. So it's a really important mission, and I think the overall solution of all these different aspects of the Microsoft stack really achieve that goal for them. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how Arctic IT approaches this. One of the things that we do is we go through, start looking at the mission or the applications that you're working with today. They could be paper-based, they could be legacy business application, they could be custom-made that you already are using today. And it's very frequent that we have to look at, all right, how is the data stored? What are the applications? What do you integrate to? How do we analyze and look at all the different processes that are in use today, and how do we improve those or look at the mapping of those technologies to the current stack of technologies that Microsoft makes available? And security is always a big aspect to make sure that we're applying the best and latest current security principles so that we're making sure we're deploying in the government cloud or the commercial cloud, depending on the feature requirements for what you have, but then making sure that the desktops, the endpoints, all your APIs are managed and secured so that we're keeping that data, whether it's a compliant, HIPAA requirements or it's FedRAMP requirements that you have to manage the security of the data and so forth that you work with. We've done all that. We've implemented FedRAMP compliant or HIPAA compliant, CGIS compliant solutions for many of our clients to make sure that we're meeting those important security characteristics. And now once we've gone through that exercise to understand the security, the overall business application, now it's time to say, let's build out that application based on components that are come out of the box from Microsoft, with some custom applications and power apps and more portals and so forth, and build out that entire integrated solution and migrate the data from that old legacy system to a new modern digital workplace and be able to deliver those services. And in some cases, we actually innovate using Azure services, AI, workflow automation, so forth, that become available, that are integrated in bringing, hey, you know what, here's technologies that are available that the client may not even understand or are even available on the market. So we can bring those innovations to their needs and then help them enhance their service delivery. That's the goal. And we're pushing really hard to say, let's help improve that customer experience, help the team do more with less, and make sure the accuracy of the data and the security practices are best implemented for your team. All right.
Great.
With that.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Really appreciate what you spoke to. We're seeing this innovation path with a lot of our government customers as well. We really appreciate from the Microsoft our collaboration with Arctic IT. As being here in Redmond, Washington at the Microsoft campus, I love seeing the use cases around the city of Seattle and the Army Relief. Fantastic use cases of the Power Platform and Dynamics 365. Here in my own county of King County, again, we're seeing that same innovation path that Brian just talked about. King County's deployed over 200 different Power applications or Power Apps on the Power Platform, both for internal and external facing applications. Some of these include Power Apps to address the most vulnerable communities here in King County. So they built a great app around safety for senior citizens. They have another one for locating at-risk youths. King County is also transforming, as you pointed out, Brian, a lot of these citizen services with Power Apps in the Power Platform, including they built Power Apps for resident experiences, including improved real estate transactions, applying for housing benefits, applying for public transit passes. I've been working on the industry cloud and solutions team for a few years now. I was honored to be a PM on the vaccination management solution. So I worked closely with King County during that height of the COVID pandemic. As a PM on that, working closely with the leaders here in King County and the state of Washington in customizing that vaccination management solution, which included a resident portal, for how you, if you recall back to, trying to get a vaccine, for doing the scheduling, checking your eligibility, the reminders. We built an app for the vaccinator, for putting the shot in the arm, apps for the inventory management to prevent shrinkage and, making sure that all of those vials of the vaccine got into arms. And all of this was built on Power Apps using a common data structure and a data service that Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform uses called Dataverse. And Bryan talked about the power of that data and being able to integrate with, for the Army emergency relief with the DoD. Having that centralized data stores using a common data model for the vaccine stuff, it was based on a common data model off of the FHIR standard. It really allows that centralized reporting, the cross collaboration, and in the case of the vaccine work, integration to CDC systems to keep that real-time information on how many vaccines were given and usage of that. But the really powerful thing about the Power Platform is that King County and all the other government agencies around the world that use the Microsoft Vaccination Management solution could quickly make the changes that they needed. Because it was built on this low-code, no-code platform, you're able to do things like change things quickly as new vaccines came into the market, as the eligibility requirements changed. So it really kind of speaks to this modernizing legacy application slide that you took us through, Bryan. So with that, I'm going to talk just really quickly. Let me put my video on here so you guys can see me. And let me go forward to the next slide. So Bryan talked a lot about the Microsoft Cloud and the Microsoft stack. We really think that's important. So the first thing is the beauty of Microsoft and building on the Power Platform and using Dynamics and using Arctic IT solution on it is it's all built on this integrated stack. At the bottom of that is that integrated identity security management. You heard Bryan talk a lot about the Government Community Cloud or the Microsoft Government Cloud. We also announced the Cloud for Sovereignty last month at Inspire. So it's really about putting that security, access control, and data governance for your applications at the foundation of this. Next up is Microsoft Azure. So you're able to use the 200 services that Azure has within a Power App or within Dynamics 365. So Bryan mentioned a few of them around things like AI, data warehousing, analytics, machine learning. You're able to apply that and connect the Power Platform to those Azure services. Now we have developer tools on the left going up the stack, which is really if you want to build custom code, you can do that. We got Visual Studio, we got GitHub, you can build that. But we also have the Power Platform that we're talking a lot about today. And that is our low-code, no-code that you can go ahead and build these applications using all of the power of Azure, but build this in a really quick manner and do it with more of a citizen developer face where you can build these really quickly, modify them, and build these app experiences in the matter of days versus months. But you can still use that custom code if you need to. And then we have Dynamics 365 and Microsoft 365, including Teams, which are applications built on that platform. You can embed Power Apps directly into Microsoft 365 and integrate into Dynamics 365. And then the team I work on is the Industry Cloud and Solutions. So we build those industry-specific components on top of the platform. So those customizations, data model specific to the industries. And the one that I'm working on currently is for government. So I partnered closely with Arctic IT and many other partners in government standards to create a common data model within Microsoft for government, as well as an accelerator. So any of our customers and partners can use that for free using the Microsoft stack and be able to talk in the concepts of government, things around benefits, eligibility, government programs, services, grants, license permitting, and whatnot. But really where this shines is that big, bold partner solutions at the top. And that's Arctic IT solution. And so they're in the process of building their next generation solutions on top of that data model. And it's really that which they're offering to market based on the Microsoft stack and using the decades of experience that Arctic IT has in the government space. So again, we just released this. It's the first version in April. Again, what we do around these accelerators is we just make it open. What our value of this is really providing a blueprint for any of our partners and developers out there to be able to have, if you wanted to build something around a government benefit, around a government service or program, they have something out of the box rather than having to recreate the wheel every time. Of course, there'll always be customizations, but we wanted to give you an accelerator, something to bootstrap and a starting point for you to work off of. And really, the data model we created is a very generic one, including coverage for many of the public finance, grant program services, public health and social services for doing things like benefits, housing assistance, public safety and justice for doing things like citizen services and reporting a crime, to things like critical infrastructure and a lot of the basic like permitting, licensing, and citizen services that are part of the core kind of infrastructure of the city. So at the base of this is we'll talk a lot about data. So again, I mentioned Dataverse is that data store that Dynamics 365 and Power Apps uses. They'll have a set of tables in it that you can always depend on. What we've done is we've extended that, included a set of data tables. There's about 25 of them that include a lot of the main concepts of government. And so we included the metadata and the data model that with the click of a button, you can put into your Dataverse environment and start building the applications off of it. And we were really excited. Bryan and his team brought decades of experience along with a dozen other partners as well as government standards. We created that data model based on the Microsoft data types and data platform. And Bryan and his team provided some great input and said, you know what, this could be really useful to us, and provide some great input and changes that we made and that we're making in our next version as a fast follow. So in addition to the data model, we include some sample applications and portals just so you can experience what you can do with the Microsoft Power Platform using that data model. So we include a sample portal. And again, the advantage of this, like the vaccine work I mentioned before, is you're able to change the data model in the back end and the portal will change automatically. So as eligibility changed with the vaccine and more people became eligible for it, they're able to make changes to the questions which we ask and the eligibility standards and how long and do you need one dose or 2 dose or a booster shot. All of that can be changed quickly in the application as well as the data model, and the portal gets reflected accordingly. We also include an application, a Power App, and this is really for the government employee to see when someone's applying for a program or benefit and how they act on it. And then again, really this accelerator is about enabling Arctic IT. So we want them to be able to use this data model so that everyone's speaking the same language and be able to build government solutions on top of that for all of the different federal and state and local governments that Arctic IT works with. And we make this readily available both on AppSource and on GitHub. So with that, if you bear with me a second, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to show you kind of what we're talking about with the accelerator. So the first thing I wanted to showcase is if you go to appsource.microsoft.com and look for the Government Accelerator, you can find it here, and if you click the Get It Now experience, it's the easiest way if you wanted a partner or a developer wanted to deploy some to the commercial cloud. It leads into what we call Solution Center, and you'd be able to click this data model and deploy it in a matter of seconds or a couple minutes into your Dataverse environment. And when you do that, the data structure and all the tables, rows, columns, and metadata will get populated. You can also deploy the other samples as well as sample data with it as well. We also ship this on GitHub, and I'll put these links in the window, GitHub would be for deploying into Government Community Cloud or the Government Cloud, as well as we have a set of different documentations for customizing installation to GCC, metadata, and entity relationship diagram, lots of different user guides and other documentation, as well as it's also on the docs site within Microsoft as well. Now looking into the actual accelerator, if I click that button and deployed it, you'd have a portal experience. So this is, again, it's just a fictitious Contoso County, but this is where you'd be able to click and see all of the different data model and what you've created in Dataverse, and you're able to put new programs, new services extremely quickly here. So rather than a custom development and building a website, you're able to build out these Power Pages extremely quickly. So in this case, you can, in Dataverse, assign the questions related to maybe a new housing assistance program for preventing eviction, and they're able to click here, and again, connected with either Azure Active Directory or a different identity provider, be able to track all of your different services you've received in the past, any permits, license grants, and again, this is just an example portal. Once the application gets put in, you can see, again, what I'm showing here is the environment of, these are all the different tables that gets populated with the data model, but this is the application where you have some dashboards and you're able to see, just picking on applications. These are all of the different data types for grants, licenses, eligibility. And again, once someone applies, let's say they're applying for a housing benefit, this is one I just created, you're able to see the workflow as a government employee, be able to collaborate, work in teams, and be able to get the constituent the benefit that they need, the service that they need, get them the grant, the license, the permit. We created a very generalized model that can be applied for a lot of different services, of everything from like a housing benefit to different programs for vulnerable communities, to different government services. We really created a general model that we're hoping partners like Arctic IT can use, extend, and customize for a lot of different reasons and a lot of different purposes, and to solve the missions or help with the missions of a lot of government agencies. With that, that's a quick run through of it. Again, we'll put some links in the window as well as make this available as next steps, but this is available free of charge, just the underlining platform licenses. All you need is a Power Apps license for it or an environment for it, and the rights to deploy something into. And Power Apps does have a developer license that you can use for free if you wanted to try this out. With that, I'm going to go back into closing for the presentation. So let me first kind of give a couple links here. Again, I think this was made available, but Microsoft's doing a lot of great work in the government space, state and local government and federal. We did come out with the Cloud for Sovereignty, which is going to take a lot of the concepts that have been made available in GCC and the United States government cloud, and make some of that security and access controls available to other regions around the world. We also, encourage you to engage with partners like Arctic IT that have decades of experience with state and local government and federal government, and they've been great to collaborate with Microsoft in building this data model together. And then again, this is just a link at the bottom for how to actually get the data model and the accelerator if you wanted to use in your environment. With that, we wanted to open up for any questions from the team and any final steps. So I'll turn it back over to Sue and Bryan.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, James. Great presentation.
Okay, please feel free to use the chat and I will read your questions aloud. All right, James and Bryan, I did have one come in. How is Arctic IT using the accelerator in their products and their services?
So I appreciate the work that James did in building out that accelerator. When we took the team through the exercise of reviewing what was there, we saw some really great capabilities on how we can use that going forward for many of our government clients. So one of the plans going forward is to say, let's take this government accelerator and build out some unique functionality into a product that we can then make available to clients called GovCase. And if you can see more information about that out on the Arctic IT website. But GovCase is expected to be able to use that as a starting point and build out some case management functionality around for family and child services, for health and human services, other departments within the state and local government space to be able to use that to not only as a starting point for the solutions that we have, but also then be able to expand and add capabilities based on this common data model that Microsoft has delivered for us to be able to then integrate and work more seamlessly together if there's other solutions and applications that are brought to bear to serve those departments. So that's an important element that we plan to use us as a starting point for many of our applications that we bring to clients going forward into our GovCase platform. Thank you. Good question. Anything else? Any other questions?
Let me see here. And what does this cost?
Well, I can't speak to GovCase, and I am sharing, sorry about this screen if I am, but I think they have another webinar coming up specifically on GovCase. But as far as the accelerator itself, there's no added charge to it. It's available on GitHub. It's open sourced. The data model is free to use. It was designed for the Microsoft platform. So it's for Dataverse, for Power Apps, for Dynamics 365. However, you can also use it within Azure, and you'll see some upcoming work with Azure Synapse around the government data model. But anything you use in the Microsoft Plat, there's additional charges for, but the accelerator itself is for free. There's no hard dependency, so the only requirement is that Dataverse environment. And I think I mentioned before, there is a developer version of that you can use for free, or you would need that environment set up. And that would just be a basic Power App environment.
All right. Thanks, James. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. As a reminder, we have 2 more webinars in this series. Our next webinar will be Wednesday, August 24th, where we'll introduce GovCase, as Bryan mentioned, Arctic IT's case management cloud software that measure your government program outcomes and community impacts. We appreciate your time. On behalf of Bryan and James, we thank you. And if you need anything else, please let us know. And we wish you a good day and a good week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks all. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.